You have nowhere to go. Give it up. Is that a hairdryer? Next time, read the instructions. Okay people, welcome back to another Fwoosh review. Today let's take a look at the Mezco 1/12 Collective DC KGBeast. Now I've slowed down on buying Mezcos a bit because, well, mostly budget. But for a character like KGBeast, where we don't have a lot of action figure representation, I had to jump on it because he needs to be on the shelf. He's a Batman villain. And that's the short of it. It's KGBeast. He needs to be on the shelf. Looking at the package is what we're used to with the 1/12 Collective line. Right on front, KGBeast logo. It says KGBeast right across the top, 1/12 Collective, DC. On the side, same thing, different order. On the back, there's that solicitation shot showing the figure and accessories and everything it comes with. Some pretty pictures across the bottom. Warning, small parts not for children under 3 years old. Essentially, don't put it in your mouth. On the other side, there's your logos again. On top, ooh, that sexy, sensual, glossy black on matte black. 1/12 Collective. Pose, play, display. On the bottom, same thing, except it's like legalese and warnings. Take the slip cover off and you get, well, kind of a look at the figure. It's KGBeast in carbonite. It's cloth goods. It's a higher end item, so they want to make sure it's protected. On the side, ooh. On the other side, ah. And then on the back, big old fancy Mezco logo. But let's get this open, see what's going on here. It always throws me that there's no tape on these. No reason for it to be theft proof or whatever. Is there another layer hiding up under? There is. Well, essentially the stand arm. And then, I love this thing. Ziploc bag. You just take the accessories, put it in here, label it, file it away. Easy to find later. Well, unless you don't have a file away like me, it's just a box that you have to dig through. Underneath the figure, there is the bottom of the stand. We have the, well, it's not painted on. Is that printed and painted, or is that a decal or decal? It's a raised edge. Like all Mezco stands, you have the foot peg, but you can also pop out that peg and then put the stand arm in. And like I always say, these are my favorite stands ever. They're tough, they're tight, they're tall. You can get figures way up in the air. They're sturdy. They can hold the weight of these Mezco figures that do tend to be a bit weightier than standard action figures. Essentially, best stands on the market. They come with $80 action figure, well, $80 plus action figures, so they better be sturdy. Oh, and a lot to like here. A couple of things not to like, but a lot to like. First up, the overall look. I love that Mezco went with this basic design. If you Google KGBeast, half the pictures are his S&M gimp suit look. And there's nothing wrong with that in certain situations. But for the aesthetic that Mezco usually goes for, this costume design works much, much better. As always, there's some Mezcofication to it. The shoulder pads with the spikes, these are hard plastic. They don't bend under your fingers like a mass market figure. But that comes to a strap that crisscrosses the chest, and I love all the colors they used here. Most toy lines would have went with just black coming across, and most of them wouldn't have painted these rivets. But oh man, I appreciate when it's done, especially this well. There's some blacks, there's some blue, so gray, the silvers. It just adds a lot to the overall look. And then these red stripes on the chest, on top of the cloth. I don't know what this material is. It's some kind of pleather or something, but it does bend whenever you go cranking on the figure, just like the cloth. And sometimes I worry that's gonna crack or peel off, but I've really been putting this guy through the paces and I haven't had a problem. Probably doesn't help that I'm poking it with these sharp tweezers either. Down on the belt, everything I just said about that, you can apply to this. There's pouches, there's these shells, all nice and red and silver, a good contrast against the rest of the gear. The buckle's painted, more rivets, more buttons, some more belt details, another pouch, because you can never have enough pouches. You got to put stuff everywhere. I mean, just this extra detail. Oh. Hanging from that is the holster. Again, all these colors just concentrated in this little spot. The silvers, the blacks, the grays, the wash on top to bring out detail. I'm swooning right now. On the left leg, there is cloth sewn pouches. Supposed to be part of the pants, but it throws me because of all this leather high detail stuff in plastic form. And then boom, here's some pouches. I get it, it makes sense. It's not even really a complaint, but for some reason my brain pan is rejecting it. They do have separate little rivet pieces on top again. Ooh. Down at the boots, the color scheme is matched with the rest of it, but You can see some leather detail on the outside that is painted different. The top of the boot going around, these armor top plates on the front, again with the rivets. I love rivets. I can't help it. Got a steel toe with a nice patina metal look to it, and then the top armor guard. There's even a boot sole on the bottom of the foot. Moving to the hands, the gloves, they brought that spike motif down from the shoulder pad to there. And again, for something you've got to grab and move around, those are not forgiving. Then you get a couple of spikes on the back of the glove with some knuckle duster metal pieces on it. The cloth suit underneath, well, it's two separate pieces. There's the top part that is skin tight, but because of everything on top of it, you don't really notice it. And then there's the pants, a more baggier, militaristic look, which is my favorite use of cloth. And then up at the head, there's the mask. It has the design going over the eyes. The eyes are whited out, and I feel like it's a leather of some kind because of air holes. So in this case, if it is a different material, I'm okay with this being sculpted and the suit being cloth. Usually I don't like it because they try to emulate that same pattern in plastic form when it's supposed to be the same materials, and it doesn't work because of sheens. But here, I'm completely good with this. This looks fantastic. I also like the muted reds and blues they went with for the suit underneath. It kind of disappears into the overall piece, and that's not a bad thing, especially for a character like KGBeast. Because your eye is automatically drawn to the patinas, the metals, the rivets, or at least I am. Everything has its place here, and it's done fantastically. But I will harp on the arms a little bit, because against all that, they seem a bit plain. They also look like they've been cut to be under soft goods, that excessive plastic missing around the joint. But the way the cloth would bunch right here, it seems it's made for that. And even with that missing plastic, it doesn't come up much past 90. On top of that, I would have liked to have seen some paint here. It needs maybe some blue to the veins or some shading in the musculature. Something to make it stand out or at least blend in. But you get zoomed out and you know it's bare arms and you're more lost in the rest of the details. But if I had one complaint about the overall proportions, I wished he was a bit chestier or torso-ier. There's a realistic feel to it, but because of the size of the head and the arms and the legs, I feel like this should be just a little bit thicker. That is definitely not a deal breaker, especially with the articulation. For that, there is a dumbbell, well, double ball joint at the top of the neck. There's a little stick in there, so dumbbell. Oh, that's another thing too. You get cranking on them and this likes to ride around, but it's simple enough to just put the shoulder pads back on. Then there's also a ball at the bottom of the neck. Altogether, can look up, can look down, tilt, 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 tilt. Swivel. The shoulder hinges up, rotates all the way around, and because of the bounciness of the shoulder pads, it does get out of the way, although that's going to look weird. Swivel at the bicep, which surprised me because there is a hinge and swivel at the elbow. So that's something to watch out for when you're posing. You get it out there, you can get this turned. It looks, like we talked about, the elbow comes up slightly past 90, rotates. Swivel hinge swivel at the wrist, there's some up and down. You can get it turned, you can go side to side. That's on the right. On the left, there's only swivel, but we'll get to that. There's a reason. Ball joint mid-torso, ball joint at the waist. Together, not bad at all. Arcs back, tilt, tilt. It's tight going to the side, and when you straighten it back out, because you can't see those joints, it is, I don't know, it's difficult to get him standing straight up and down, but it can be done. That's just a little extra step there. Something at the hips, it feels kind of ball jointy, but it comes up to about right there before the fabric starts stretching. Back, out. Oh, without the holes, what's the left do? Look at that. That's better than Spider-Man. There is rotation at the thigh. Double knee. Is it a double knee? Yeah. You can get to about right there. Swivel at the top of the boot. And then the standard Mezco ankle, which I think is a dumbbell joint of some kind. It does go back a bit, does go forward quite a bit, at least compared to other Mezco figures. And then again, for 1/12 Collective, a nice rocker. For accessories, KGBeast comes with 2 fists, comes with 2 grip hands, comes with a right trigger finger hand, a right holding the weight of a weapon hand, and then a right monologuing hand or a clawed. This doesn't seem as nice as a lot of older Mezcos. There's a stiffness to it. It's still nicer than some imports, but yeah, you have to force it a little bit. That's the right hand. The left hand is simply a peg. Then you can put a grip hand in that. Again, there's a reason. KGBeast comes with a pistol that has both a removable magazine and then an extra. Little small in his trigger finger hand, but it works. The Beast is a big guy, so him holding a little pistol, that looks good. But you go to store it in the holster and it doesn't lock in or stay, or hell, it rattles around. And then in front of that is a little pouch for the extra magazine storage. Nice. There's also these other 2 magazines that are longer than the one that came with the pistol. They're not listed on the back of the box, but I do believe they go in the pistol. Like I said, the regular is removable. You even have a bullet right there. Same thing with the longer one. I mean, they even painted those things. That's awesome. That fits right in there. I may be wrong, but I think that's right. It's KGBeast, so of course he's going to come with a sickle. It's very clean but shiny, and then even the handle has a different gray to it, so a little bit extra paint goes a long way. The gripping hand doesn't have a problem at all holding it, but if you want to store it, there is this clip on the back. You have to avoid the handle. That is too thick to go in there, but you can push that, and then that stays. And where there's a sickle, it's got to come with hammers, and KGBeast comes with both a small and a large sledgehammer. Same silver to the handle itself, but then a darker metal color for the head and then black for the grip. And again, if you want to store this on the back, not a problem at all. And that even works for the smaller one. There's also this big machete, or techno machete. It's got a weird design to it. When he's not holding it, there's a sheath on the back, and like the pistol, it's loose. It doesn't lock in. It doesn't. I have taken some pictures with it in here, and it didn't really pose a problem. So yeah, it's not bad. Then there's the spearhead. It's a bit thick, but like the machete, it has some wear and tear to it. That and no give. That thing is pointy sharp. That's where the peg on the left hand starts coming into play. You can plug the spear into there. You want to be careful here because the spikes on these leather straps on the left, that is a loose piece, so that can drop down, flop around. When it does that, just push it back up and it goes on tight. That looks great, but when I think of KGBeast, I think of something different for this arm. You know, like an arm cannon. Such a great sculpt to this overall. I mean, the different colors used, there's a slight patina. It looks a bit dirty. It is sci-fi, it's comic booky. I don't think there's any kind of real world equivalent of this, but at the same time, if somebody was holding this at your face, you're thinking, oh, this isn't going to end well. Feels like this up here is a separate piece, but I can't get it to do anything, so it may be separate just for detail's sake. You can pull the magazine out of the bottom, at least there you go. Again, with the painted bullet, that is amazing. And you notice how tight that was. That's because I had it pushed in, and when it's all the way in, it doesn't lock. But if you pull it out just a little bit, there's a tight spot that you can hit, and then it won't flop around. And it even comes with an extra. KGBeast is ready for a firefight. With that, you pull the spearhead or hand or whatever you have plugged into here. You can take this off just to get it out of the way, and then that also unplugs. It leaves that metal ring, and then you plug the gun outside that. And oh, yeah, now he's ready for business. I'll probably never take that back off. That is staying on there. And just because they wanted to, the extra magazine for the big arm gun, it does, how does it go? It goes like this. You can put that in the little carrying part of the belt. It's not the greatest. It has this little edge on bottom, a couple of clips. If it pops out just a bit, it's gonna slip down, but hey, the effort was put in. And then for head options, besides the mask look that's on it in the package, there's also this, well, this metal mask kind of look, or this hockey mask look. It looks like the back of his mask, but then the front has this clip-on piece, and like it's more protective. It's more of a shell. I don't know why I'm doing that. It's the same plastic, but you know what I mean. Plus the design is a bit thicker and etched into the mask. But the biggest difference is you can see Anatoly's eyes. This is comic book, cartoon type mask. This is more of a real world feel. And just like most Mezcos, it is a dream to pop that off. The head has a softness to it. You pop it on, it stays on, it just works. And then there's also the unmasked Anatoly head, and I love the detail on here. Mezco's awesome at that fine line between comic book and realistic. There's a shine to the eyes, the hair is painted in nicely, there's some tones to the skin, but I think my favorite thing is the shaved hair. It just has that perfectly natural look to it. Finally, there is an eye patch, or his bionic, his cyborg, his cybernetic eye. On the package it shows it goes over that hockey mask look, and it does. I got it on there for the most part. Unfortunately, it is tight as hell on there. You're supposed to stretch it down over the head, and mine broke. I'm not even sure if I had it on there the right way or backwards or upside down, but as I tried to adjust it just a bit to cover up the eye, snap. With it broke like that, it is easy to put on though, and that's not right. It's broke. It's hanging off. I may try to figure something out later because I'd like to have this look as an option. In fact, it probably should have been a completely alternate head. They did this so you could put it on this head or this head, or the unmasked head. KGBeast stands at 6 9/16 inches tall to the top of his head, which isn't as big and beefy as I thought he would be compared to Batman, but at the same time, this totally works. Again, that real world spin that Mezco likes to do. This is probably what it would look like if you saw this on the news or something. The only other KGBeast figure I have is, what is this, the last wave of Mattel's DC line? And I like this look, it's just not a great action figure. But the Mezco does look good with Mattel's DC Universe Classics classic Batman. World's greatest detective. He also stacks up nicely against the Medicom Mafex Dark Knight Returns Batman and Hush Batman. This may be my favorite, and he looks bigger and broader. This works better than I thought it would. Here it is next to the DC Icons Batman. Again, I like the sizes here. And then the DC Essentials Batman. Little small for 7-inch though. The line's called 1/12 Collective. But for giggles, here's the NECA Batman and the McFarlane Toys Wave 1 Batman. Then to give you an idea of what it looks like against other lines just randomly, here is the Hasbro Star Wars Black Series Stormtrooper and the Hasbro Marvel Legends Black Panther. So at the end of the day, I'm gonna be honest, I am not the biggest KGBeast fan, but I am an action figure fan, and good figures is good figures. This makes me want to go out and read more, like what it was, 10 Nights of the Beast? I wasn't expecting to like this figure as much as I do. I was actually prepared to, oh, the skin tone sucks, and why does the elbow do this, and I can't make it, and this falls off, and but the more I played, the more I messed, the more it won me over. It's such an awesome addition to the Batman shelf, and we should be getting more Batman stuff in the future, and I don't know, that may go behind KGBeast. There's Batman, there's Joker, and in my display, it's going to be KGBeast right there. Now, don't get me wrong, it does have its problems, but it is way more dynamic than I thought it would be. And I think it's all in the torso, the way it moves. The way you can hunch down, still looking up, or crank back, or lean to the side. If he's standing there looking like a badass in a badass pose, then hey, I'm good. But the downside to doing a review like this, if you are now interested in getting KGBeast, he may be a bit harder to get. It looks sold out at Dorkside Toys. Oh, sold out at Big Bad Toy Store too. It says join waitlist on the Mezco site, so if you're now interested in this figure, it may be worth jumping on that, see if it fulfills. Either way, if you haven't opened yours, or you have yours on the way, or you just haven't had time to mess with it, get on it, because, ooh, it's nice. If you enjoyed the review, comment, like, subscribe. Much love to the plus. If you're interested in seeing videos early or just in a position to help out the channel, patreon.com. But wherever you may be watching this, I'll always catch you on the Fwoosh. I can't decide which mask I like better. I think I'm going to keep the leather mask that was on it in the package, but there's nothing wrong with the armored up look either. Well, okay, the bottom is a bit thicker than the top, like it oval egg shapes or something. The leather mask is more comic booky. Plus those wide eyes stick out at you. Okay, yeah. That was a quick decision.